Girl, you the man, and she love me when I'm in it, and she never be pretending, nothing is real. She gon' tell you.
Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to the E-Spot with Camille. I'm your host, Camille Cower, and I'm very excited for you guys to meet my guest today. Without any further ado, I'm going to bring him in. He is the Trevor Booker. You've seen him on TV, whether you watched him in college or in professional, because I have someone that's already mentioning how they know you from Clemson days. My good friend Adrienne Bradshaw. She said you guys played at the same time at Clemson. It's a
I remember
small
Adrian.
world.
Yep. What's up, Adrian?
Yeah, I did not. I knew she played at Clemson, but I didn't even think to put you two together. I was like, well, maybe they weren't at the same time because you guys both look so young. It's hard to tell. But
Yep.
wow, small world.
Yep.
So let's get right into it. It's from the very beginning. Before college, you're from a small town. How did you get into even thinking of playing for the NBA?
Well, honestly, I used to watch the NBA growing up, but I never thought I had a chance, of making the NBA. I never really, used to dream about it. I just used to love basketball. I used to love all sports. I grew up in a country town of 2,000 people, so we didn't have much to do besides, go fishing or go outside and play some kind of sport. So
Yeah.
we were always outside, during the summer. Me and my brothers competing. My cousin, who also made the NBA, Jordan Hill, he used to come over and stay with us during the summers. So it was a lot of competing, and let's just say it paid off.
I would think so, but what are the odds of that you and your cousin both end up playing for the NBA? So, I mean, to compete with someone on that level is not not everybody gets that option. So, when you guys were playing against each other, did you ever, was there ever a point when you both were like, wow, we're a little bit better than our average playmate or even
Yeah.
other people other cousins that didn't make it to the NBA?
Yeah, it was pretty dope, and we got reminded of that a lot, from our family, was super proud. We have a big family, and for two of their family members to make it out and make it to the NBA, it was pretty cool. So we got a lot of love from our family, got a lot of love, from our hometown and surrounding areas. We had a lot of support, in the NBA.
Yeah. I had the joy of going to like 26 different schools. And so smaller towns, they were really supportive of high school sports because that's kind of the closest thing you have to go to games in person, whether you live near an NBA team or not. Like Charlotte, the Hornets is kind of a newer team. So it wasn't something that was so easy to go see an NBA team. But I'm curious, was there ever anyone that even at your high schools that was kind of big that you looked up to before even getting to the NBA, or was it always the NBA was the goal?
Well, I had everybody, from my hometown looked up to this one guy, when I was younger. He was a football player. He played football and baseball. And he was like, the hometown hero. He was the best. He was like, the best football player in the country. He's like the best baseball player in the country at the same time.
Yeah.
So he was huge. His name is Roscoe Crosby. Everybody looked up to him and wanted to be Roscoe. And, he made it to the pros. It was a great story. So that just motivated, even more people, from our hometown. And, I ended up making it. Yeah, but he was probably a big inspiration,
Yeah.
from my hometown.
Did you ever get the chance to meet him or?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh,
So he,
cool.
he used to date my cousin in high school. So yeah,
Oh.
and I actually just saw him probably about a year ago. I ran into him.
Yeah, that's kind of, did you ever tell him like, hey, I used to look up to you, or were you just
No,
like,
I
let me
never
hoop
told him
with
that.
you?
Yeah, I never told him that, but
Yeah.
I did let him know that I thought he
Yeah.
was like a heck of an athlete.
Yeah, no, that's got to
Yeah.
be it. Like, I would think, even from his perspective, knowing that he's encouraged others to go out and try to make it, but even to finally get to a point where you're like, I actually did make it and get to meet him to tell him It'd be kind of
Right,
cool. So I was
right, yeah,
curious.
and he's when I saw him, he's working, as a mentor to young kids,
Mm.
young, troubled kids. So he works with this company, and that's where I met him. I went there to visit some of the kids, and I was in the same room with Roscoe, and the kids were, in awe because an NBA player came in the room, but I was telling the kids, I'm not even the best athlete in here.
Yeah.
They didn't even know, Roscoe was the athlete that he was back in the day, but
Yeah.
I wasn't even the best athlete in the room.
Oh man, what a moment, like a full circle moment in that sense. But you do a lot in the community because you have your own school, but you also are a philanthropist yourself. So what made you get involved on a community level? Because a lot of times they talk about athletes or celebrities, they get big, they leave, and they never come back to town or even use those resources to help others make that next step or make that leap as well. But you're one of the, and I feel like a lot of times athletes do this, but it's not interesting. It's not, it doesn't sell newspapers. So they don't always share that kind of information in the press. And
Right,
I
right.
want to make sure that people know because you actually do a lot in the community. You are involved. So what made you start that initiative, but also what are all the initiatives you're involved in? Because it's a lot.
Um, I'm just a giving person, I like to see
Mhm.
people happy. I just like, positive energy, and I just like to see people smile. So, that's huge for me. If I see a way to help a person and make their life better, and then, I'm gonna try my best to help them out.
Yeah.
Like I said, I just love, positive energy, seeing people smile, and I have a goal one day of being a billionaire, and my main reasoning is, just to because I feel like I can help, so many people out, the more money I have,
Mhm, mhm.
whether it's, putting resources in the communities or, just walking down the street and, handing somebody $100 bill, if you think they need it, just random things like that. I just want to do one day.
Yeah. Now, were you always like this? I mean, were you involved even before getting involved in the NBA? I mean, I'm just curious if this is something that you like. People always saw this in you that you volunteered a lot, even in high school or before then, or it's just something as you become, I guess, more famous and realize how easy it is to help people when you have kind of an entire huge platform behind you, or was it
Yeah,
something you always did? Yeah.
it really honestly started, helping out probably when I got to the NBA. Before then, I didn't have any money, so I was like, I always wanted to help out, but I didn't really know ways of helping out. If I didn't have money, coming from the country, we don't have many resources, so I don't, have access to much. So all I see is the country life, and that's all I know. I don't, I see what I see, and
Mhm.
that can only take you so far. But once I got
What? How did I not
Uh-oh.
do that? She did. Look,
I
I
think
pressed the
your
God,
AirPod
man, bro.
switched sound because I'm hearing somebody else's sound now. Can you hear me? It was weird. It
hello.
was your oh there you are. Yeah, it switched too. All of a sudden I started hearing kids instead of you. I don't know if it was
Oh,
the
really?
same for us. It was weird.
Oh, I know what happened.
Eh,
I'm in my car, and my kids are in the car next door to me, and so the Bluetooth connected over there for a second. Okay,
So we missed
okay.
everything you said, but heard them.
Oh
It was
my
really weird.
goodness.
Luckily, they didn't say anything bad or anything noticeable. It's just like, what's happening? All of a sudden, I'm
Yeah.
hearing kids.
Yeah, it's five of them, so I'm sure you heard a lot.
Oh, wow. We got to talk
Yeah.
about that next, being quarantined with 5 children.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, I almost forgot what my question was before it switched over too. So, what is it like with 5 kids in quarantine?
Uh, well, when they're here, the house is pretty noisy.
Yeah.
So that's why I was, happy to get them away for 3 weeks with the grandparents.
Yeah.
When they left, I was like, this is way different. The house was so quiet, it was crazy.
Yeah.
And as soon as they stepped foot back into the house, crazy again, running through the house, fighting. putting
Oh,
on boxing gloves, just always something,
how old are
but
they? What are the
my
ages?
oldest is 15,
Okay.
15, 10, 6, 4, and 14 months.
Oh, wow. That is a
Yeah,
house full.
yeah,
So I know we're talking about all the different things going on in the world, and since you have a teenager, and with, I mean, just with the news, whether it's with gun violence, with police brutality, or just even having those different talks that you've had to have before you, whether you're just sending them to grandma's house, now there's like that added layer because of COVID-19. What is it as a father? How do you feel about what's going on? And what are you telling your kids, even because you have such a different range of ages?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really, try not to bring it up unless, I see that they have questions about it.
Okay.
Um, well, I know my daughter, she's 15, so I know she understands it. I try to, talk about it around them, just have conversations about it, but I don't, try to go teach them anything, about what's going on. But if I'm having a conversation and I see, that they may be interested in it
Hmm.
or may have a question, and then, we'll talk about it. But other than that, I don't bring it up to them unless I think, they're interested or it may be affecting them in some kind of way.
Yeah. Now, with school getting ready to start back, I know for my daughter, it starts back next month, and I'm already, or no, it's this month. It's August already. So, like 14 days.
Yeah.
Have you made any decisions yet as far as virtual academy or if they're going to go back to school? Because even on that level, like, how do you explain it to them? Oh, yeah, we're going to do
Yeah.
school from home or,
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the decision that I'm facing. Actually, the deadline
mm,
was today, for my boys, the younger ones.
yeah,
They go to private school. My daughter goes to public high school.
okay.
But yeah, the boys go to a private school. So we had to, make a decision today whether to send them back to school, start them, at school, or do it remotely at home.
Hmm.
And we wanted to see if it was a way where we could start them at school, and then if we didn't feel safe, pull them out and have them learn virtually.
Hmm.
So we're waiting on that answer right now to make our decision. But it's definitely a tough decision. Um, Everybody's gonna have their own opinion, but my kids, they understand what's going on with that, and because they did summer school also, they did summer
Okay.
school virtually, and so we had to explain everything. They understood why they had to do it virtually, and they couldn't go into the school and all of that.
Hmm. I'm assuming with 5 kids, because that's one of the things that we've talked about with being part of the PTA and so on, is like that's 5 different devices online, possibly all at the same time, and the parents still have to work and also on their devices and so on. And if you're lucky enough to have high speed internet and to have a device, you're already above a lot of other people who may not have those options. So
All right.
it's one of those things where a lot of people are thinking about it. And I'm curious what your thoughts were about it as well, just since you had all those different ages. But with that being said, a lot of people are still working remotely, even for work.
Right.
And since you worked in the NBA, and there's a lot of people, there's a lot of conversations happening whether or not they should even be playing during COVID-19, and also with the social justice aspect of it too, with everything going on. Is it distracting from what's really happening in the world, whether it's political or not? And so I'm curious, even your thoughts on that as well, as far as, do you think the NBA should be back or should they stay home? You're also a MLS owner, so I'm curious even on that side of it. Like, you can speak to both sides as an owner, as a player. What do you think about it?
Yeah. Well, from my perspective, um, I just love that, the leagues are giving the players, the option,
Mhm.
you could play or you can sit out. So I love that they're giving them options.
Yeah.
And now if they had just took a stance on and just said you have to play or you're gonna get fined or something like that, I'll be opposed to that because
Okay.
different people are gonna have different opinions about the whole
Mhm.
situation. Personally, I'm just glad that we have sports back. But I definitely respect, the players, that are sitting out, they're being cautious. I definitely understand that. But as a fan, I love, that the NBA is back on. As far as the social movement right now, the Black Lives Matter, movement, lifestyle, push. As far as that, I think the NBA has been doing a tremendous job of, keeping their word, with, pushing a message. And if you watch the NBA games that are on now, they do interviews with the coaches during a timeout, or they do an interview with the players after the game, on TV. And one of the questions, they make sure they ask about, whatever's going on, in the world right now, or in the United States, with this movement. So they make sure, that they're going to include something to, keep pushing the initiative, and keep pushing, our agenda. So the NBA, they're doing a great job. Some players didn't, think um, that they would, and this would be a distraction from everything. But I actually think it's doing a lot of, justice, and a lot of positive. It's coming out of this, with, everything that the NBA is doing to help, push our agenda.
I would agree with that. They're doing a great job. And I love that, unlike with some sports where they're not, I don't even want to say the names because I don't want to get in trouble, but I know that some sports are like, they're not allowing the kneeling. And so to see them just collectively do it together, it's even that I thought was a great, made a great image. But to see that they're doing more than just, we're not just going to kneel, we're actually going to make sure that it's part of the conversation, like you mentioned, with them interviewing and so on, bringing it up. So it's not being forgotten, it's not overlooked, it's not being a distraction in that sense, because
Right.
they're asking the players to talk about it as well, because it does affect so many. Because once the jersey's off, no, I mean, you guys are on the same level in the sense of that
Right.
no one's going to care that you're a football or a basketball player or a baseball player when a cop car is behind you. You're like, that may not save you. That may be why they pulled you over in the first place as a target. So you just really never know. And I'm glad that they're giving you guys that opportunity to speak about it and share more about it.
Yep.
Well, what do you think they should be doing more, if anything, to make sure that things do get better with?
Honestly, the thing that I would like to see more of, I think it's a big part, but it's not the biggest part. It's systemic racism. I don't think that's getting enough, attention. I think everybody's trying to push more. I think that white people are there, more pushing, the ones that are, trying to, help our agenda. I think they're pushing in the police brutality, which is great. We need that. We definitely need that. But I think we need, more people talking about the systemic racism, dating back to the slavery days when the slaveries were freed, how the system was, set up against us from then on. And it still hasn't been fixed. Has things gotten better? Yes. But a lot of simple things can get fixed, just by changing some laws. Just so many things that can be fixed within our system that would, help get us on a level playing field. But I don't think it's being pushed enough.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I'm curious, even like with all the different systems and so on that are involved with the NBA, like how, as many players there are that are Black, I wonder how many owners are Black, how many people there that are making decisions are Black, like to include that part of the element as well. When they're talking about all these different things that the NBA is doing, it's like, well, what are you doing behind the cameras, or in the boardrooms and so on, or even I know in the article I posted earlier today that you mentioned possibly becoming sports agent and so on. And even on that level, how many sports agents are Black or Black owned companies that are handling that side of it too? So, because so many players are Black, like just, I'm
Right.
curious about the numbers, how that breaks down and how much that will change in the future now that
Right.
they're shining
Right.
more of a light on that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely going to change, a lot more in the future. You're
Mhm.
seeing, they're trying to get, more, African Americans into the front office and, coaching. So you're
Mhm.
going to see a big change here over the next few years, I think.
That's great. That's exciting
But the,
time to
the
be
next
alive.
thing is just getting African Americans into ownership roles.
Right.
So, that's a big thing right now.
Yeah, no, I saw today, even The Rock is going to be part owner of XFL, and I know you're part owner of
Yep.
MLS. So I think the more, like you were even saying for yourself, living in the country, you only knew what you saw, and just for more people to see more news of Black owners, Black athletes, just in general, just seeing that, having that access to seeing that will make a big difference for all those kids who maybe don't have the sports side, but like, wait, I love watching sports. I know all the statistics of it. I could be an owner,
Yep.
just having that, being able to have that someone to look up to as well. So I'm
Yeah.
excited to see what will change because of all of this as well.
Yeah. It's definitely going to be a lot more, Black ownership in the near future. I know a few people that are working on some things, so I can, I can see that happening very soon. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, that's exciting. So what do you have on your plate moving forward? What are you doing to stay busy during COVID-19? Well, you have 5 kids, so that's kind of
Right.
obvious. One of the things
Yeah.
they're taking up a lot of your time, I'm sure. But what are some of the other things that you're getting involved in?
Just on the phone constantly, working on different things. I have my private academy here, private high school here, 30 minutes outside of Charlotte, called Combine Academy. It's a sports specific academy. So we're working on that right now. We're working on this upcoming school year, figuring out if we're going to have a school year, if we're going to play sports or not. So we're working on that. A bunch of real estate,
Tough position.
yeah. Working on, a bunch of real estate deals. Um, what else? And we're working on a few things within the NBA. So we got a lot going on right now. So I'm on the phone on the phone constantly, most of the day. So I'm always working.
Yeah, no kidding. Do you have any tips for people that are out there that are possibly looking at changing jobs? Because you've been retired now for a few months, and you've got multiple streams going on, whether it's real estate, school, education, or so on. What would be your advice for people who are looking into possibly starting their own business? Where would you suggest they start?
Um, my advice to them, just make sure you know what you're getting into. Um, it's definitely not easy, and it's definitely going to be, hard work. The more time you put into it, the more the better chances are, that you're going to succeed. If you're not taking it serious, if you don't think you're going to take it serious or love it, don't do it. And it's going to eat up a lot of your time. So make sure you plan for that. Make sure you have a backup. Try not to go through your savings. Um, yeah, that's about it. Just make sure you're passionate about it because it's going to consume a lot of your time.
No, for sure. We have a question that just came in. So, who is your favorite player of all time? Tasha asked, other than Michael Jordan.
Um, Kobe and Allen Iverson and probably Kevin Garnett.
Oh,
So those 3.
yeah, those are good ones.
Yeah,
Of course,
even though
I'm
I think
biased.
LeBron is probably the greatest player of all time.
But you didn't list him. Oh, but you do think he's the greatest player of all time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but the other 3 are just my favorite.
Okay. So Michael Jordan wouldn't be on your list?
He's definitely
Okay.
I think he's second, best all time. I hope he doesn't hear this interview. I'm sure you hope he does for other reasons. But I put MJ number 2 behind LeBron
Yeah.
of my all-time greats. But Kevin Garnett, AI, and Kobe, those are my 3 favorite players to watch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, look, she's like AI with the crossover. See? My basketball friend. She's the one that was that I met you with, Tasha. Yeah, because so I've got to pull up the picture. Long time ago, way back in February, I attended my first Hornets game, and I came up to Trevor. Well, I was doing all these fun like pictures all over the place with the Hornets bee and with everyone, just being a complete what's the word I'm looking for? Newbie, I guess, as my daughter would call it, noob. And you played along with me. I was like, hey, do you mind if I pretend I'm interviewing you for the gram? You're like, sure. And now I got to make it real. So thank you again for fitting me in. But this was funny because he had on the coolest shirt ever. It was Little Debbie, but it said Little Diabetes, which the irony of the guy dying this past weekend. Who knew?
Who's that?
The guy that used to say that, now I'm blanking on his name, but the guy that used to say diabetes in all those oatmeal commercials. Do you remember him?
No, I don't.
Well, he was always doing these commercials about Quaker Oats, how they'll help with diabetes. And he would say it just like that. So your shirt had that on there. I was like, hilarious. How to figure out a way to get a picture of the shirt without sounding like a psycho. So I'm kind of glad it worked out, because now that I have my own show, it all makes sense that I have a picture of you, especially now that you've really become my real guest and not just in pictures on the gram. But I just want to ask this one last question just to make sure everyone's understanding on your standpoint as far as the NBA. You're glad that they're giving them that option as far as being able to.
Yeah, definitely. So I think, just giving them the option,
you
you can't really be mad with that. So I think it was a great play on the NBA's part, because, if I had the option, I'm playing, but some players, feel differently, than me, and they had that, option of opting out, and I think that's great.
Yeah. Now I saw that there was one guy that decided to opt out because he had a newborn. So, I mean, maybe if he didn't have that newborn, he wouldn't have opted out. So it just really depends, each family for themselves, I think, for that point.
Right. Yeah, I had a couple of, buddies to opt out.
Okay.
So,
yeah. You got to do what's best for your family, because I know I've opted out for working myself just because I have my daughter's high risk and it's not worth it for me to show up places just for, but I'm not making millions of dollars either to show up. Like there aren't a lot of people dependent on my income either, and that's a little different when you're playing on that level and you have people dependent on you as well for income as well. But I really appreciate you taking the time out today and hanging out with me on the E-Spot, and look forward to seeing all the things you couldn't share on air happening hopefully soon. We'll be watching for the news. He told me off air he can't share, so just know that we need to put Google alerts for Trevor Booker's name, because things are coming soon, hopefully, but it's got to be announced on a bigger platform. Or it has to be, the ink has to be signed. So once that happens, we'll all find out. So I'm excited for you, and best of luck.
Thank you.
Again. All right. Thanks again for being my guest today, and you have a great rest of your week.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it was my pleasure. All right. You have a good day.
All right.
Yay. How much fun. I'm hiding myself. That's how much fun it is. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. The E-Spot with Camille. We're going to have a great week. This is countdown to 100. So today is the 98th episode of the E-Spot. Can you believe it? Tomorrow will be the 99th, and then I'll be 100. It goes so fast. It really does. Well, with Trevor, he had something else he had to do, so we had to make sure it was only 30 minutes. So that's why it was really quick interview. So I had to get right to my questions really fast and get right to it, because he's a busy man, and hopefully soon you'll see exactly what he's busy with. Now, as far as tomorrow, my guest tomorrow is, oh my gosh, I hate when I do this. I'm totally blanking. Oh my gosh, I know Wednesday it's Danny, and tomorrow, oh my gosh, I feel so bad. I need to like not do this on air. Of course, I'm blanking because of order. It's Trap Yoga Bay, Brittany. So tomorrow we're going to hear from Brittany, Trap Yoga Bay. Go ahead and follow her on Instagram. She is the creator of Trap Yoga. I have never gone. I've wanted to go millions of times. They are always sold out every time she had a class here locally. So I can't wait to hear how she started Trap Yoga, what made her decide to put, I mean, you couldn't pick two more opposite things and put them together. And so I'm excited to decide or to talk to her and find out how she came about that. So that'll be our conversations for tomorrow is with Brittany. And then Wednesday is with Danny Russo, my good friend. We're just going to be chatting it up, joking around. He's going to tell me a little bit about what he's got going on coming up. He's going to interview me a little bit so you guys can hear a little bit about me. So if you have questions that you want to ask me, come on in. Wednesday's the day to ask. Then Thursday, we're going to have another fun interview with two comedians who happen to have one's a comedian, one's a business coach. They've created a podcast together. So we're going to hear from them where they help business professionals with being camera ready. So she's going to share a little bit about her comedic expertise, her business expertise, a little bit together. Great show for Thursday. And Friday, still working out all of the calendar items for Friday. So I'll keep you posted. I'm sure it'll be amazing. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Oh, hey, Rhonda. So Rhonda Marie saying hi. Tasha stopped by. Say hi to her. Olivia stopped by. I did not say this on air because I knew he wasn't in the Raleigh-Durham area. So yeah, but yeah. She lives in the country as well. And then, of course, Adrian, a fellow Clemson. Well, I'm not a fellow Clemson, but my guest today was also from Clemson. So she stopped by. So thank you guys all for stopping by. Please share, like, and comment with your friends so they can know about the E-Spot. You don't want them to be left out. All right. Thanks again.